Ramanujaya. Glorious and illustrious trend of human race, which is said to be highly advanced, social, rational, composite and high-tech animal. Instinctive endeavor of every urbanism within its limitation is towards acquisition. It may be acquisition of consumptive resources for subhuman species. It may be material resources for few people, and in higher need it goes for knowledge resources. Apart from the biological parameter of acquisition, to go for a shelter, to go for food, etc., the greatness of mankind is the pursuit of knowledge. And the pursuit of knowledge, it is enshelved into different dimensions of progressive nature. First is curiosity, thirst, endeavor, trial. These things are the first step. These four steps, they collectively and collectively, they are denoted as knowledge acquisition. After the knowledge acquisition, there is a very great, wonderful transformation in human intellect. That is known as exchange and distribution of knowledge. The third thing is practice and implementation of knowledge. Fourth thing is protection and preservation of knowledge resources. So whenever we come into the system, whenever we come into institutionalization, because each and everybody's mind will have few dimensions in mental ether. First of all, what we think is, certainly there is an inbuilt scientific driver within each and every person. No doubt we are having a lot of scientific records, we are having innumerable presidential records, we are having a lot of citations and quotations from the earlier writers. If you want to go towards heat, there are innumerable experiments which have been conducted to mark heat, to measure heat, to produce heat, store heat, and to convert the same thing into solar cooling. Innumerable dimensions have come already. So already existing lineage, already existing hierarchy, already existing texts and materials, and also supportive mechanics like automation, computerization, robotics, artificial intelligence, and various things have come now. How the first scientists, without any resources, they have cultured or they have sculptured the innovations, or how the sculpture of the supportive devices for innovation have been brought out from blank space. This blank space has created something which has been newly produced, and it is not something which is recurring or repetitive or inspirative or imitative which we are having now. Now we are having a lot of resources, and whatever we want to start the journey, wherever it was from, immediately we are having a starting point, we are having a strong foundation, and what we have to do is just make a superficial structure. How the first innovation took place from blank space, how they have been sculpted. It is told that there is a drive inside, it is known as cognitive drill. Why I am teaching this thing means each and everybody, being a teacher, they should have three methodologies to approach to the students. Three special or salient features of teaching methodology should be there. First of all, they should possess the same, and they should also incorporate, they should be able to incorporate the same thing to others. Second ability of a teacher is, even a disabled teacher with the official speciality of his teacherhood, he can impart and potentialize knowledge to people. I should reiterate so that you can just ponder it more. Even a disabled teacher is so powerful, by the office of his personalized teacherhood, he can incapacitate each and every student. Personal ability is not a criteria for a teacher to develop a person. For example, a teacher, even though it may be a basic teacher of elementary grade, the motivation, force and inspiration given by that particular teacher to student may carry the person to go up to PhD or PhD. The greatness of teacher is he can do great things and he can make others do that same great things that he has achieved. His greatmost nature is he can also make the students or his dependents or the obedient anuyaris or followers to achieve something which he has failed to achieve, which he could not even achieve. So the ability or the internal, integral, immeasurable progress that is fortified inside a teacher should be realized first. Any person taking a book in hand, standing before the students, who assumes the office of a teacher, who gets all the physical as well as trans-physical nature and impulses of a teacher. Irrespective of the standard being a kindergarten school towards a very great international research institute of Massachusetts, whatever it may be. Any person taking a book, showing a glance of shower of love and compassion and concern towards the future, concern towards the molding of the child, standing before them, immediately he assumes, she assumes the office of teacherhood, and all that qualities or absolute attributes that are essential for conducting the class, immediately they are inherited by the spell of nature, the gift of God, the truth of nature, by the conscience and its evolution, by the outburst of a person's inner nature, by the immeasurable potential zeal of the soul. So naturally, any person standing there without any penance or austerity, because thinking about the subject is penance, committed towards the person's future is austerity, and doing each and every day classroom with utmost sincerity and dedication is a ritual. And this is a type of religion of education imparting for any person, that is a spiritualism. And liberation is liberation from ignorance, liberation from binding, liberation from incapability for the students. So it is the divine environment of a teaching ambience. It is the divine inner environment of each and every teacher, and any person assuming that place, it may be Pupa or Supa, immediately assumes the knowledge of great sages like Vasishtha and Vishwamitra, and this is not an exaggeration or a fiction. The thing is, they should realize, and there are three major things. One is erudition, second is dedication, third thing is compassion. Even though the erudication level or the knowledge basis of each and everybody may be limited or insufficient or may struggle, but a person's dedication and compassion is a good compromiser and compensator. If a person is more dedicated, more authoritative in his compassion towards the well-being of the child, his erudition is expanded, or the container receptacle of the student, they are expanded, so that the person without having studied can explain more, and the persons with limited input can hold more and expand by his intelligence. It is highly subtle in nature, and it requires repetitive hearing and internal digestion to understand the nuance of this truthful fact of philosophy. So in education philosophy, there is not only chemical reaction, there is metamorphosis. There is not only a physical relation, but there is something metaphysical. There is nothing known as linguistic, it is metaphorical. It is trans-physical, trans-natural, and trans-ambiguous in nature. We should understand and reduce the reality. The greatness of our land is the whole world has got a system of lineage to education. There is a great Plato's Academy, Socrates and very great scholars they have emerged from. And there is a Chinese school of thought where great scholars they have emerged from. They have founded the print technology, silk technology, marine technology. They have founded the ornamental technology. They have founded the construction technology. They have made the army or military command technology, naval infrastructure, military warfare technology. Everything was done. Innumerable schools of thought of the Mayan, Incan, Aztec and Inca civilizations of the world. They have cultivated a lot of things on what we call education. But still, our land has a pride that the invisible sources, the sources of reverence, finding out the unforeseen and unseen factors of the utmost abysmal core of each and everybody's heart between the transmission is the greatness of our lineage, which everybody failed to understand, and we have failed to preserve the same, for which we are also the equal users. Failing to understand is the loss for them, and for them, in spite of the position, failing to utilize the same, to organize the same thing for the modernization. Modern education is not our foe. Modern education is neither our enemy nor our fraternal element. Science and technology has no enmity with all. We admire, we allocate our own durations and spaces. We also embrace each and every part and parcel of the global development, but the base should be what? It should be the learning technology and methodology of our land. Ethical implantation should come from our land. Efficiency of a person to live in the world. Ethical implantation to be moral and to be congenial to the global environment. And empowerment to be prosperous and distributing the same. These triple E, now somebody is called as electrical and electronic engineering, is not triple E. Triple E is getting education with ethical, efficient and empowerment radiance is not a triple E. And to get that, there is only one solution in the world, and that is Indian traditional system of knowledge. So we should understand, wherever there is greatness in the West, we should try to customize it and Indianize the culture and westernize the content. Indianization of the content in a global environment is idiocy, and westernization of the culture also apart from content is also lunatism. So we should derive such a stupendously superb and preternatural methodology whereby the Western greatness that is emerging in the form of technology can very fallaciously, it can work out with all of the essentials of the modernism. We can work out. Even though Western thing is mundane and our thing is highly parameteristic in nature or spiritual in nature, still they can have a relation. The relation may appear to be paradoxical or fallacious. Still there is a possibility of hybridization of the both, synergy of the both, catering to the benefit of both East and West. In knowledge dimension, acquisition is the prime minister we have already quoted. Second is exchange and distribution. How to distribute knowledge to others? For that, knowledge should be systematized. But now, there is no systematization of knowledge. I want to be frank that a book is in the form of systematized knowledge. Whatever you get in the form of inputs, they are known as information. If there is a piece of incident, piece of any other detail of a person, place, time, or any other specification, that is known as input. If the input reaches you, it is an information. If it is targeted towards you, it is known as a message. These informations, if they are culled out and organized, then that becomes a particular concept. Then the same concept, if it is tried with a particular end or product which has connectivity with you or which has some sort of application extensions, then the same concept becomes theory, experimentation, all other various things are coming into contact to create a particular subject. Then various subjects coming at a common root, they created discipline. So it is nothing but piece of informations which are culled out, which are properly extracted and orderly placed in order to create a subject. So orderly placed informations are known as subjects. And there is a system by which, number one, all the inputs can be converted into information, all the informations can be orderly placed, all the informations can be systematically aligned, and a subject with a purpose, a purport, a drive and performance ability is drafted. That art is known as education, and any institution that is vouchsafing that particular authorization of getting that education is known as a school. It is known as yes dynasty. The area where education is promoted is known as school. And the particular piece task that has been aligned specifically for your application, that is known as syllabus. And any person who is studious, interested in gaining that knowledge, well prepared, mentally, intellectually, and physically, such a person is known as student. And any person imparting the knowledge is known as a scholar. Any person who is radiant with knowledge is known as a stalwart. So school, stuff, syllabus, serenity, all of these various things, they incorporate with a student, a scholar, and it is known as knowledge distribution. Between each and everybody, there are three types of knowledge exchange. A teacher also simultaneously learns when he or she is teaching the student. It is first exchange. Second, anybody reading by themselves, let it be soliloquy or expressive verbal usage, whenever somebody reads for themselves, they are exchanging with their own inner self, having the knowledge more informed, more expanded. Third thing is, lot of people, that is why we used to call it as Sabha, Sadas, Goshti, Sangha, innumerable nomenclature are available in Sanskrit. A place where learned people, they confederate together. A place where aspirants and learned people. A place where all learned people with a debate. If two people talk with each other, it is a dialogue. If many people desire a particular thing, that is discussion. If they consider something in different paradigms, then that is known as debate. So these various things are various tools and various other tributaries or derivatives of what we call knowledge exchange and knowledge distribution. So now, teacher is a holy agent. Second, teacher is a harmonious agent. In a class, innumerable people are there. Number one, people with different mentality. Mischievous children, puny children, obese children, kindling children, instigating children, silent children, ferocious children, submissive children, innumerable people are there. The teacher should have a capability like that of GCD and LCM in mathematics. She should have, or he should have, a standardization ability of stabilizing the various disharmonious notions, motions and emotions of the student, by which, by the presence of a line and its roaring, just as everything is kept into control and submission, a teacher should have such an exalted mental status by which all the disharmonious emotional levels of the people, the students available, they are put into absolute harmony and equilibrium. Second thing is, there are innumerable intellectual abilities. There are innumerable intellectual abilities. Innumerable intellectual abilities means that is lingophobia. And I have already told physics, I am afraid of physics, physiophobia, chemophobia, chemistry, biophobia, photophobia, zoophobia, anglophobia, arithmophobia in mathematics. Innumerable phobias are there. So, lot of people are afraid, lot of people are negligent, lot of people are arrogant, lot of people are struggling with various other subjects and examinations, and lot of people are there who are interested in knowledge but seek more explanation and more explanation. Some sort of personal recognition and personalized approach and motivation is required. So any teacher who is capable of handling the intellectual disparities of the mass, he is to be a teacher. So teacher is a symptom for, a symbol for, an emblem for harmony, harmonizing emotional imbalances, harmonizing intellectual disabilities, harmonizing various other phobias and manias of the students. Apart from education, a teacher is having three responsibilities: extracurricular, paracurricular and curricular responsibilities. Curricular responsibility is to see that her particular subject is taught well, that particular thing is imbibed well. Second thing, overall contribution and performance of the child, that should be also watched by people. So a teacher, that's what I told, a teacher gets salary, the students get education. The teacher also gets something more than salary, the students also something more than education they get. More than education, the students they get grace of the masters. More than the salary, teachers get blessings of the divine personification of wisdom by means of contributing more than what the salary meant for. If somebody is working for mere salary, then they will get only salary. By knowledge exchange, both the students, somebody asked me a question. The teacher is coming there, she is getting salary and she is teaching us. It is enough if you stand and respect her. Why worship? What is the meaning of reverence? Why we should revere? Then great people, traditionalists, they say that there are two types of harvesting. One is harvesting of all tangible resources. If tangible resources, visible resources are to be targeted and channelized, we should work. If all invisible forces are to be brought, that could be brought only by worship. So, normal vision is possible by our optoscopic vision. We are seeing everything. Nobody needs a microscope to see one's own mother, father or children or any other element which is very highly visible and conspicuous. For seeing something which is microbial in nature, we need a microscope. Like that, those vibrations, those essentialities that will mold a person's greatness and valor, glamour and color, that should be necessitated by the specialized function of an invisible force which is known as a prayer, which is known as a grace. Both grace, prayer, both the things are invisible. So a teacher, apart from her curriculum, she is having two more duties. Curriculum duty is to see that the particular subject is covered. To see that the chapter is covered or not is the immediate duty of the teacher. To see that the same chapter is covered by the child or not by means of verification, examination and personal interrogation is the immediate duty. To see that the same thing will pave a route for the germination of futuristic expansion of the same in high studies and performance in professional excellence is the remote duty and the foremost duty for each and every person. So this is the greatness of a teacher. It is a curricular duty. Extracurricular duty is general health, family welfare. Somebody, while discussing about Ramanujacharya, they told Ramanujacharya how he was an inspiration model, personalized approach. There were a lot of people working in the fields of the temple. Ramanujacharya personally went to them and asked about their family welfare, children, their education, marriage. That created a closer bondage, but there is a limitation, there is a proper methodology of approach that is only a starter, not a runner. Throughout the life, the academic pursuit of a teacher and relation between the teacher and the student should not be just domestic mutual sharing and other things. So there are two extremities. total distance or isolations between the students and teacher, or unwanted bondage and exclusion between them. So we should create a reasonability instead of this so-called hazardous extremity which lies in both the ends. So we should discuss how extracurricular system of understanding, general language, communication skills, moving and making relation with friends, sports, yoga, physical health and mental well-being, these various things are extracurricular in nature. Paracurricular is to teach about ethics, values of life, commitments as a national representative, as a responsible citizen for the nation. So like that, these three things make a perfect teacher. Anybody teaching for a salary is no more distinguishable than that of an IBM ThinkPad. They are lesser than the ThinkPad itself because the efficiency level of the computer is very more far better than that. So we should create an ideal teacher who has more responsibilities. Any person should have two dimensions according to tradition. Considering parents as the first teacher and considering teacher as a second parent, likewise treating the students as their children. That's why the Shastra says that the teacher is also having the parenthood, but she is in the intellectual plane so that she showers not love but intellect. That is the greatness. One more great thing about this school, the Shastra says is, you are living inside the womb of your mother for 10 months. The second womb is your school, where your biological body was processed in the embryo of the mother, where the intellectual body or the essential body of your inner nature is molded inside the school. So that is also an embryo. So this type of greatness that is shown by our tradition has created a very great expectation about school, about teachers, about syllabus and environment, which has created a drastic disappointment and frustration whenever we see the practicality because of overburdening of the syllabus, lack of proper timing. There is a lot of over jobs, part-time job, double job, silent job, shadow job, underground job, innumerable jobs are done by people in spite of which they are not happy and satisfied. Nothing to make them satisfied. So we should realize that we should create an environment at least in a small place. Whenever there was depreciation started, it did not emerge globally. When somebody became negative or useless, it does not happen in a single day. Slowly it has started in a single place, permeated in all schools, permeated in all professional environments, all houses, and it has taken at least 1 or 2 centuries for total collapse. Like that, now we are going to create the luminosity of truth and perfection, which let us start from a single house, from a single school, and it will permeate and radiate the society. After a few decades, let us hope that the same thing can be installed, because we are not going to Yale, which is totally utopian in nature. We are going to get back what we got. We are going to reveal what we have inside. We are going to organize something for which we are born. So there is nothing known as confusion. There is nothing known as distress or difficulty for all this. Let us take that particular commitment today as a teacher's day. Every day is a teacher's day, and anywhere when we are realizing about the real value of being a teacher and real teacher, that is said to be the real operative functional teacher's day. Other teacher's day celebrations are just inert and meant for ceremonial purposes. So let us consider this day as teacher's day and start this mission. Number one, whenever we talk about the knowledge exchange, just as in trade we are saying about import and export, knowledge is also having import and export. It is also in downloading and uploading, and that is known as instruction methodology and learning methodology. These two major sciences, certainly they are in need of understanding. And whenever you see a total society, if you take, you cannot get everything from all people as per the norms and conditions. There will be mismatch. There will be blank spaces, there will be adversities, and teacher is a single entity. Teacher, we are not this teacher, physics teacher, biology teacher. We are talking about Acharya, the great preceptor. Even though everybody is doing the same job, they are entirely different. You know that anybody lifting a small bag of rice is also a weightlifter, and also the world wrestling championship, lot of people are weighting lift. They are also doing the weightlifting. They are all equal, but they are having their own standards. Just as I always used to refer, the tailor is also stitching and surgeon is also doing in their own environment. But they are having their own precision and their own status in their own respective areas. A surgeon cannot be brought for a tailor shop and vice versa. You know it better. Like that, a teacher is different from a preceptor, and an instructor is different from a philosopher. In Sanskrit, there are two terminologies for that: Bodhaka, Adhyapaka, Shikshaka, Guru, Acharya. Acharya is a person who has the power to do everything. He will not ask you to study, he will make you study. Any person who knows what he knows and can make you know what he knows, and any person who can also make you, I have already told, know what even you cannot know. We have seen great historic incidents of great personalities in which the gurus, they have blessed their students to become wiser than themselves, to become more glorious and potential than themselves. So Guru is such an alchemic entity which can create an entity which is 1,000 times or multifold, that is having magnitude and multitude in prowess and performance. That is the greatness of an Acharya. So in this knowledge vision, the duty of an Acharya is, there are a lot of resources. Who is an Acharya? Somebody asked. In our education syllabus, we are having our examinations, in which we see fill up the blanks, match the following, arrange the jumble sentences in order. The same thing done by a person, single person with unified commitment is known as an Acharya. Because we are having a lot of mismatches inside. Any person who matches the following, filling the blanks. Mother should give some knowledge, she has not given. Father should give some care, he has not given. Your domestic environment should teach peace and harmony, it has not given. Your society, your state should teach you how to live peacefully and unitedly, it has not given. Don't worry. Whatever your mother has failed to give or insufficiently given, whatever your father has not given, whatever the society has not given, everything will be compensated by intellectual submission of a spiritual master or a proper teacher. So teacher is a compromiser. I have lost this. Don't worry, you will get this. Compromiser. Second, compensator. He has not done, he has not done. Everybody has totally been relieved or totally relinquished their duties out of their negligence or ignorance due to which they have not committed their responsibilities. At that time, teacher comes to rescue. So you should understand, a passenger sleeping inside a car is different from a driver sleeping. The same thing in the case of aircraft is still serious because they are carrying more than 200 passengers at to an altitude of 34,000 feet. So you are carrying hundreds of people behind you. Anybody can do mistake, for which teacher is a relief and rescuing element or also a resort. But if a teacher does mistake, or if a teacher what is doing mistake, number one, not realizing the responsibility is a mistake. It need not mean scolding the children or beating the children or not teaching the syllabus. Only teaching the syllabus is a mistake. Not taking personal responsibility for the academic welfare, ethical welfare and professional welfare of the child is a mistake. Hiding the resources, not having the willingness to augment the resources for carrying a child. We know that in most of the cases where the mother is ill, she will have alternative feed for milk, and whenever milk resources are a bit dry or inadequate, the hyperlactation medicines are consumed by the mother and that lactation is given to the child. So any person not interested, not aware of, not having the willingness to increase the resources to commit towards the children, those people are doing absolute mistake, and it is a sin in disguise of mistake. In spiritual sense, it is to be a sin. So education and teacherhood is highly glorious and sanctified, and at least 10% of the holiness is more than enough for the world to survive. A stream is full of water to quench your thirst, and for any industrial or agricultural purpose, a small canal is enough. Potty is enough for your domestic use. A glass is enough for your personal thirst. A canal is enough for your industrial and agricultural usage. Like that, I am talking about idealistic teacher, out of which 10% is more than enough for academic development, professional development, ethical development and social development. So I am just showing a mega picture of what a teacher ought to be, out of which a reasonable proportion can be taken for the global well-being or the so-called inter-religious and inter-social harmony which people are planning in different measures. So this is the basic entity. So coming to the prime point, teaching and learning. Today I have given a small hint about what is teaching. Teaching is not just reading what is there in the book. Teaching is not just presenting something which is already there. It is presenting something which is there inside the mind of the child and presenting the unseen dimension of what is there in the book. So there are two things. The child or the listener or the student, their internal mental status and the arena is invisible. That is ambiguous, that is obscure, that is unintelligible, that is hidden, whatever it may be. And to create clarity, purity and vision inside the child, not to get the same thing in their own minds. Teacher is a person who works with the mind of the student rather than working with the book. Book is an intermediator and the teacher has direct access towards the minds of the person, the brain of the person. So, consoler of the mind and capacitator of the brain to create an equilibrium between the mental involvement and the brainic ability of a person to commit himself to education is the miraculous work of a teacher. So, a teacher by all means has the power to see beyond the book and to see behind the mind of a person, to see that both are unified in proper equilibrium. So, this is the basic thing. And I have already told about what is learning. Learning is not just memorizing something. There are three things: masterizing, memorizing and mesmerizing. If any person having hyper volatile knowledge by which he can observe anything, Agni is the Sarvabhuk. What is the name of Agni? Fire in Sanskrit? Sarvabhuk. It can complete anything, it can reduce anything to ashes, provided it is in the proper temperature. So that is why any person who is hyper volatile and multi-combustible to assimilate knowledge and to create it is a productive combustibility. Any person who is having that type of positive tsunami inside in the form of an uproaring wisdom movement, which can create also zeal, intuition, inspiration and implementation in the minds of innumerable distant and proximate dependents and followers, such a person is said to be very much ideal and exemplary in nature. But we can get at least a fragment of it which I have already told. So this process of learning is entirely different from what they are doing now. So learning should be an internal process of self-exercise for which a small starter is book or teaching or anything else. I have already told, to summarize, a teacher works with the mind of the child, having book as a small mediator, and with the teacher's inspiration, having the stuff of the book, somebody working with him inside, where the inner rotary mechanism and self-propelling probe of a mind to pursue into the studies is activated, that is known as learning. If it is not self-propelling, that is not learning. That is just reading, studying or time passing or whatever it may be. So it should be transformed into the system of learning. And regarding the idealistic school of creating good teachers, the Shastra, the tradition says that if a person has got a good elementary teacher, there will be strong ethical foundation. Most of the persons who are having strong ethical impulses, they are having the inspiration model of the basic teachers, elementary teachers. A proper elementary teacher, knowledge implantation or foundation, they cannot make very easily, but ethical implantation, characters, nobility, mutuality, that they can produce. Even now, if anybody wants to say that from them I learned honesty, I learned what to be polite, I wanted to be a very great person and serving the society due to the inspiration of this person, that would have been most probably an elementary implant because of the impressionable age. So, good ethical foundation by an elementary teacher, good educational foundation by a middle class teacher, good professional foundation by a high teacher or a higher secondary teacher. Higher teacher can create you creativity and innovation to become a scientist, to become a technocrat, to become a cosmopolitan citizen, to become so altruistic and unifamous. So these are the various levels of the teachers and various levels of impact, right, that they can possess on the schools. Such was our country before several centuries. Now it is very difficult to trace such people even in portraits and museums. That is the present situation. We have the lamentation now. We have the longing now. It is the proper environment and time frame where we can incubate such teachers who can in turn incubate lot of chicks who can come out of the academic society with success and more hope to the future of the society. The second thing is the present education syllabus. As well as the present teacher training syllabus is also insufficient. Now teachers are having three major qualities. One is they are going for training. Second, they are having experience. Third thing, they are having ambience. But these three things are successfully implemented. Why? If they are going for teacher training, you should understand this keenly, you should observe. They are going for M.Ed or B.Ed or MPhil or any other research oriented or training or teaching oriented syllabus. As there is a common flaw in all education syllabi, as there is a common deficit of involvement or promotive motivation in all syllabi, the same fallacy and flaw applies to the B.Ed M.Ed syllabus also. If you are reading about a chapter on involvement without involvement, what is the difference between reading a non-involvement chapter and involvement chapter? There is no difference at all. So, just as there is a common flaw in BA, BCom, BE, BTech, etc., the same thing is that this is also merged in the same bit. So, it will also reflect the same deficit of lack of involvement and promotive motivation is also not there. So, the teacher training courses that are there, they are also highly academic in nature. Highly academic means equally academic when compared to the flaws of other academics. Number one, what are they? Not proper attentive learning is there. Second, memorize something and write the same thing in the examination paper. Just grace passing. And various other bribery, embracery and other unlawful entries. All of these things are very common in all areas. Then teacher training is also the same. So, if there should be a proper teacher training, we should have some sort of high level selection where it can be foolproof, corruption proof, where it can be some sort of influence proof at least, where there can be quality merge. If you invite a person without checking the person's capability, etc., if you invite a person for supporting in the kitchen, it need not be a problem unless the gas stove bursts. If you are inviting the same person for driving your vehicle, certainly if the person is having nervous debility, if somebody is going to sit here, if a mridangam player is saying, percussion player is saying, my hands are very much trembling and trembling, then we can say that, so it is a part of also his exercise, he can do the same as he was doing it earlier when he was playing also. But the same trembling is there available for a neurosurgeon also. What will happen when he is operating the brain? So if you select a teacher like that, if you select a doctor like that, how far will be the question of the patients? The patients there. So it is very lamenting and very pathetical. It is very cruel to the society also. So it depends upon a major factor known as responsibility rate. The responsibility rate of a teacher is more because all the other people are eggs in nature and teacher is a hen. Engineering is an egg. Medical profession is an egg. Auditor and accountancy, advocacy and judiciary, construction technology, so local service technology, computerization, info technology. Each and every member of the cellular structure of the society, they are eggs. Whereas producing all of these things is hyper velocious responsibility that lies in the teacher. So we should understand the higher responsibility of a teacher, for she is the hen who is going to produce all these eggs. So the teacher training itself is useless and there should be reform inside it. To be frank, they are not taught with any special exercises, and to be frank, they are not taught at all. They go, read, write, come and do whatever they know and they are able to do. So there is nothing known as enhancement or transformation in the mind. It is very pathetic in the case of teacher. Second thing is experience. Nobody is having proper experience. Now there was a recent report. The average age for all engineering faculties is 20. And the tenure is 0.6 years. How it will be? Because each and everybody having a small interim gap to go for higher pursuit. MTech or MS or ME or MBA or MCA or go for BCA, once again start from the primary class even. And somebody asks for IAS very wondrously. And lot of other various diversions and deviations are there available for the people. So they are having a small hangover inside the mind and they want to pass that with a small touch towards the syllabus because they cannot be accommodated elsewhere. So BPO is a very great white collar slavery job where the person is crushed. Where a person is crushed with work and brushed with salary. Everybody is interested in going there. And to avoid that sleeplessness, to avoid nocturnal services and high-end stress jobs, the persons are opting for entering into colleges for teaching without having the aim for teaching or without having the aim for implementing or at least implanting the knowledge. So they don't have any purpose at all. So the age limit and also the consequential immaturity that inherently lies with the people. Second thing is that very ephemeral tenure of participation which creates an improper dynastic continuity in the teaching process to the students, which is a very great loss for staff management for the students. And the third thing is each and everybody, as they are opting for something else, it is a time passer. It is a decoction for a sick man, and as once a person becomes healthy, he will go for even some meal. So it has become a sick man's drug out of which there is no proper concentration and dedication for the people to do it. It is a very great recent usage that has been made. So we should understand that the experience is also very much unpaid for these people. Their experience is unseasoned experience. Somebody working for 10 years is actually different from a person's productive experience. For example, lizards are inside the school for 2 years. Can you ask any question to them? They are also in the same professors. Anybody's involvement and commitment and some sort of personalization should be there. So unseasoned experience before few years, when he was mentioning about his whole SSLC, that's what I want to say. All the DME and DE students, their ability to serve and the precision and the dignity and honor that they were served with the society is not there with even BE and MS people now. The diploma people, they were highly talented before 3 or 4 decades. At the time of introduction I am saying, just as all kids, even the youngsters of donkeys, they look beautiful when they are born. This education syllabus in engineering also, when it was born, at the neonatal state it was very much dignifiable and glorifiable. Then gradually it has reached the status of the mother-in-law has become the donkey status. So this status, now innumerably various institutions, Indian and international, they have been thronging, they have been probing to design a new syllabus, a new framework where everybody can be brought with their own vibrance and verve. That's what they are, each and everybody is planning. Now, there is International Society for Engineering Education at Slovakia, and they have made, but their work is very limited. Engineering education should be incorporated. It should be incorporated. It should be injected. If there is no incorporation and injection, automatically it will not go inside the mouth and brain of a person. So even though there is an International Society for Engineering Education, which is having National Monitoring Committee in various parts of the world, for India there is a monitoring committee at Jaya Engineering College. So there is a, but it has failed, or it has very inadequately served to enter or to be injected into the minds of the teachers and brains of the children. It has not done so. And very great research has been done by Melisinski, Professor Melisinski of the Frankfurt University of Austria. He has made a research on multimedia tools in engineering pedagogy. We cannot get good teachers. Even good teachers are there, they will be highly old enough to tackle with modern students. And most of the old age students, those who are now becoming professors and those who are retired from services, even though they can be invited for administrative purpose, for intensified and intensive learning systems and teaching methodologies, they are not well versed with computer. Any person before 2 decades, they are not well versed with computer operating systems, automation devices and various other things. So the problem with the senior most seasoned people is they are computer and modern technology illiterates, and also the society as well as the engineering syllabus has gone to such a level that they cannot cope up with that. And youngsters are so immature that they cannot cope up with the instruction methodology. Now the society is designing for a multimedia technology oriented engineering pedagogy. The senior most people cannot be brought with the compatibility of the modern trend. Modern people cannot be so easily seasoned and matured instantaneously. So to bridge the divide between all of these deficiencies, they have made multimedia technology based engineering pedagogy. And Engineers Pedagogica is a very great research work written in the Czech language. It is highly based on the didactics of engineering pedagogy. Pedagogy itself is a new word to people. What is didactics? Pedagogy is teaching a subject. Pedagogy is teaching a subject. It is like a cloth shop. Didactics is a special skill for the teachers by which they can stitch the syllabus as well as the subject to each and everybody present as per the mentality and need. That is known as didactics. They have made a very great research. And one more person, Dr. Olina. Dr. Olina is a very great scholar, and he is the chairperson of the Ukrainian Academy of Engineering Pedagogy. The Ukrainian Engineering Pedagogics Academy is there at Ukraine. In Ukrainian language it is known as UKR. They have made a wonderful research on all of these things. And one more thing I want to mention, it is a very great research which I am going to, based on this only I am going to narrate a few points today. A. Johri of the Virginia Technological University has made a very wonderful research on this subject. His subject is reorganizing engineering pedagogy. Engineering itself is to be reorganized. Engineering itself is a problem. Next step is re-engineering engineering. Third thing is engineering pedagogy. Fourth thing is re-engineering of pedagogy. Fifth thing is reorganization of engineering pedagogy. He has come to the fifth level, we are just in the first level. That is the difference between West and East. In knowledge, in philosophy, in culture, in heritage, in ancestral pride, we are somewhere else. But still in this area, we are still in the engineering level, still suffocating with it. He has crossed engineering, then meta-engineering or engineering of engineering, pedagogy of engineering, organizing pedagogy of engineering, and reorganizing the engineering pedagogy is in the Johri system of thought. Based on the Johri system only, he has made a very great research. Now each and everybody, the student, they are disengaged from learning. Everybody coming inside the classroom is disengaged from learning. They are having a remote contact and control towards getting job and salary. That's what I have already told. I am not interested in subject. I am not interested in the materials. I am not interested in the principles. I am not interested in the basics of what I am going to do. But unless I read this, I won't get certificate. Unless I get certificate, I won't get job. Unless I won't get job, I cannot get salary. Unless I am placed in financial superfluity, I cannot be luxurious. To get dignity, to get honor, to get wealth, and to get some sort of illustrious status in the society, for getting all of those things, it is an unwanted thing. Somebody told why a person is taking a bitter medicine, because the health is sweet for him. Even though the person can take only something sweet, still a person is taking something bitter because The bitter medicine is going to seek his needs for restoration of the sweetest wealth. But nothing but health. The sweetest wealth of your patient is the health. Like that, anybody who is coming to the campus, they are disengaged. According to Jory, all students are now disengaged from learning, and everybody should be re-engaged by means of dialogic learning. What is dialogic learning? They don't speak anything at all. It is unilateral. Teacher teaches something and the students observe silence, or they sleep, or they do something, or they forget the classes, or forget it as a bad dream when they go out of the classrooms. So these are the modern exercises available. It should be dialogic. How it can be dialogic? Each and everybody just taking a class. We should take a class and demonstrate it. At least we should take a class and we should demonstrate it. Within 3 or 4 months we can complete the syllabus, and 6 months we can go for revision or recreation, whatever it is. First of all, the basics of the particular subject, it should be taken for discussion, where each and everybody should go and individually search from books, from journals, from nets, what is the basic of all of these things. And without any reference, they should say that. They should discuss additional points. How many points they can give? That should be the same thing, should be reiterated in the second class. Then based on that foundation, mutual dialogue between the teacher as question and answer, doubt and clarification, prima facie view and solution, elucidation and expansion, presentation and decorative, illustrative or exemplification point of view. Like that, there should be a parallel and collateral travel between the teaching and learning authorities as well as mutual learning authorities, which is what we call by Jory's method dialogic learning, without which we cannot learn anything at all. So, considering the need of the present society, we should also use some tools, which is costlier, we should see, to develop all the teachers to the status that is demanded by the schools and the society. There are 3 demands. Your college gives you 1 demand. Your parents are with dream-filling ears and eyes to get good news and to see you in a greater mode. They are also there. And society, the professional status. Somebody in the NASCOM, they are told, we are in need of 3.5 top-rank engineers. They are saying that. And people are jobless. Still, NASCOM is claiming that it is in need of millions of people. But they have clearly mentioned, we need high-end profile people, not mere programmers and task managers. These people are just programmers and task managers in multitude. So they have wanted a group of lions, not flock of sheep. How to produce the group of lions, how to produce the battalion of lions and forceful person who can commit and contribute something for the society is the work of school. The school should enroll students, but it should repatriate only scholars. And enrolling students and sending back the same students is not a promotive exercise and task at all. This should be the value of each and every school. So here, I want to clearly mention that this thing is possible only by understanding the real value impact analysis. If you want to select new teachers, if you want to promote all of these teachers, it will take 2 decades and millions of dollars of expense, which is not immediately possible. So simultaneously, the globe has decided to develop multimedia technology. What is the digital era's new technology? The people are more associated with the digital gadgets like eyes, ears, hands and legs. People are connected with TV, with the internet, with mobiles and various other digital gadgets. And they are very much connected in society with a lot of shows, entertainment, movies, sports and other things which are very attractive. And school is directly contradictory and contradistinct in nature, which has the least attraction. So to develop all of these things properly, using the multimedia gadgets is the modern trend. So the modern people, they have already told how to get this idea. Because in the morning I have already told visuals and visualization. Now the society has lost the visualization area at all. It is a genetic loss for the modern generation unless it is shown in colors. For example, number 1, tree format. Second, vertical equilibrium format. 3, hierarchic horizontal format. Hierarchic vertical format. 4th is color shade or chromometric analysis study. 5th is graphical presentation. 6th is pictorial depiction. 7th is allegorical depiction. All of these things are there in PowerPoint presentation in modern multimedia tools. So we have lost. For example, somebody told that science has improved so that I am wearing contact lens. Then I asked him, wearing a contact lens, is it a development for your scientific pursuit or whatever you call, or underdevelopment of your original tool, your eyes? If you are wearing a spectacles, that means that your original tool, it is not scientific development, but your biological disadvantage and underdevelopment. As you are not able to use your ordinary tool in a perfect manner, you are in need of a scientific device. So now all the